China recently held a flag-raising ceremony at Scarborough Shoal, marking its National Day. Images of the Chinese Coast Guard hoisting the flag quickly spread across social media. A bold statement to the world. Officials called it routine, but the message was clear. China is asserting its authority over these contested waters. This was not an isolated event, but part of a calculated strategy to reinforce Beijing's territorial claims. By holding official ceremonies at the shoal, China signals its intent to make its presence permanent. The act is both a political statement and a challenge to other claimants, especially the Philippines. Each move, physical control, administrative measures, and now symbolic acts, builds on the last, making it harder for others to push back. The flag raising is just the latest in a series of steps to normalize China's control. For years, China has steadily increased its presence, hoping to weaken rival claims by making its own seem routine. The Philippines, which calls the shoal Bajo de Masinloc, sees this as a direct provocation. The timing of the ceremony, following other major announcements, shows a deliberate pattern. China is layering its claims, using every tool, ships, laws, and now ceremonies, to entrench its position. Each action is designed to make its control seem more official and irreversible. The flag waving over Scarborough Shoal is more than a symbol. It's a declaration of intent. China wants the world to accept its authority as a new reality. The message: Beijing is here to stay, no matter the objections. For the Philippines and the international community, the challenge is clear. The struggle for Scarborough Shoal is entering a new, more assertive phase. Just before the flag raising, China announced plans to establish a national nature reserve at Scarborough Shoal. Beijing framed this as an environmental initiative, claiming it would protect the shoal's fragile ecosystem. But many in the Philippines and abroad see it as a strategic move, not conservation. Critics argue the reserve is a cover for tightening China's grip on the disputed territory. By declaring a protected area, China can introduce new rules, ostensibly for the environment, that restrict fishing, shipping, and research by others. This gives Beijing a legal-sounding reason to control all activity in and around the shoal. The Philippines fears this green initiative is a pretext for excluding its fishermen and expanding China's presence. Establishing a nature reserve allows China to justify deploying more ships and personnel, all under the banner of environmental protection. It's a subtle but powerful way to assert sovereignty without open confrontation. The move changes the facts on the ground, making China's control seem more official over time. This is not just about conservation. It's about creating a legal and administrative framework for permanent control. The Philippines and its allies now face a dilemma: how to oppose this move without appearing anti-environment. China's strategy is sophisticated, blending environmental language with territorial ambition. The Nature Reserve Declaration is a new tool in Beijing's playbook. It puts Manila in a difficult position, forcing it to respond carefully. The dispute is no longer just about ships and flags. It's about who gets to write the rules. The stakes for the region have never been higher. The Philippines has responded with strong diplomatic protests against China's recent actions. Manila sees both the flag-raising and the nature reserve as direct assaults on its sovereignty. Scarborough Shoal lies well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, as defined by international law. China's moves are viewed as clear violations of Philippine rights. The biggest concern: thousands of Filipino fishermen depend on the shoal for their livelihood. Manila fears China will use the nature reserve to ban Filipino fishing, devastating local economies and national pride. In response, the Philippines is increasing maritime patrols and seeking stronger support from allies, especially the United States. The government faces intense domestic pressure to stand firm. The plight of the fishermen has become a national rallying point. Philippine leaders must balance appearing strong with avoiding escalation. The challenge: protect national interests against a much more powerful neighbor. The stakes for sovereignty and survival are immense. The roots of today's tensions go back to 2016, when an international tribunal ruled in favor of the Philippines. The court found China's sweeping claims in the South China Sea had no legal basis under international law. The ruling was binding, but China immediately rejected it, calling it waste paper. Since 2012, China has maintained control of Scarborough Shoal, blocking Philippine access. Every new action, flag raising, nature reserve, directly contradicts the tribunal's findings. The court said Scarborough Shoal is a traditional fishing ground for multiple countries, and China's interference is unlawful. By restricting access, China is doubling down on its defiance of international law. The Philippines has the law on its side, but not the power to enforce it alone. The standoff is a test of whether international rules matter when a major power refuses to play by them. The conflict is about more than territory. It's about the future of the global order. Scarborough Shoal is now a symbol of the struggle between law and might. China's nature reserve declaration is a classic gray zone tactic, aggressive, but just short of war. By using the language of conservation, Beijing seizes the moral high ground while expanding control. This approach makes it hard for others to push back without seeming anti-environment. Other Southeast Asian claimants, like Vietnam and Malaysia, are watching with concern. If successful, this strategy could be used elsewhere in the South China Sea. The reserve could pave the way for more development, structures, surveillance, even military assets. China's patient, incremental approach is transforming the shoal into a controlled outpost. Scarborough Shoal's location is strategic, extending China's reach and challenging Philippine and U.S. access. The nature reserve is about more than fish. It's about power and reshaping the region. The implications for the Indo-Pacific are enormous. The real victims of China's control are Filipino fishermen. For generations, they relied on Scarborough Shoal's rich waters for their livelihood. Since China seized the shoal in 2012, fishermen have faced harassment and intimidation. Chinese Coast Guard ships chase, block, and sometimes use water cannons against small Filipino boats. Many fishermen have been forced to abandon the area, losing their main source of income. The new nature reserve could make things worse, giving China an official reason to ban all fishing. This would devastate coastal communities, pushing families deeper into poverty. The struggle of these fishermen has become a national symbol in the Philippines. Their stories fuel public anger and highlight the human cost of the dispute. The conflict is not just about territory, it's about people's lives and dignity. The fight for the shoal is a fight for the nation's soul. The Scarborough Shoal dispute is being watched closely across Southeast Asia and beyond. Other claimants, like Vietnam and Malaysia, fear China will use the same tactics elsewhere. The United States, as the Philippines' treaty ally, has reaffirmed its commitment to freedom of navigation and a rules-based order. While the U.S. doesn't take sides on ownership, it opposes coercion and may increase military support for the Philippines. The South China Sea is a vital shipping lane. Over a third of global trade passes through these waters. Instability here threatens the global economy and supply chains. China's disregard for the 2016 ruling is seen as a challenge to international law. The standoff has far-reaching consequences for regional security and global order. Many countries support a peaceful, law-based resolution. Scarborough Shoal is now a test of the world's ability to uphold the rules. China's recent moves have raised the risk of direct confrontation at Scarborough Shoal. Strict enforcement of the nature reserve could lead to more tense encounters at sea. Filipino fishermen and Coast Guard ships may be blocked or detained by Chinese vessels. The Philippines vows to defend its rights, setting the stage for dangerous standoffs. A single miscalculation could trigger a serious crisis. Manila is rallying international support and strengthening alliances, especially with the U.S.-China shows no sign of backing down, and tensions are likely to remain high. The cat-and-mouse game at the shoal could easily escalate. The standoff is a barometer for power dynamics in the Indo-Pacific. Finding a peaceful solution will require real diplomatic skill, but the path forward is uncertain. Scarborough Shoal may look like a few rocks, but it's the center of a global struggle. For the Philippines and its neighbors, it's about sovereignty and survival. If China can seize territory inside another country's exclusive economic zone, it sets a dangerous precedent. The fight is for the principle that all nations, big or small, have rights that must be respected. For the world, The dispute is a test of the international legal system. China's rejection of the 2016 ruling undermines the institutions meant to keep peace. If powerful countries ignore the rules, global stability is at risk. Scarborough Shoal is a symbol of ordinary people's struggles, of law versus power, and of the future of the Indo-Pacific. The outcome will send a message about what kind of world we want to live in. That's why this distant shoal matters to us all.